Hello everyone and welcome. I'm Beastly EO, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the latest 3 episodes of Andor Season 2. So this is year 3, so it starts off rather weirdly. However, it very much lets us know exactly what kind of went on in the year that kind of, excuse me, that happened within the last year and what's to come. So one of the big things is we have Cassian's girlfriend, who is Bix, has been having a lot of really bad night terrors to the point where she keeps reliving her trauma over and over again. And Cassian is very worried about her. That's one of the big things first, right? Um, it's kind of one of the, how do I want to phrase this? Kind of its biggest issue at the moment, just because it's causing a strain in their relationship to the point where he's not willing to do a lot of things because of how she's deal, dealing with slash not dealing with her issues. So we have that going on. Then we have obviously our friend Lutheran. I almost forgot his name for a second. Lutheran gets Cassian, tells him he wants him to go to this planet that is supposedly having talks of rebellion, and wants to see what's going on to see if they're even worth the time. So he has Cassian go there, but he specifically asks for Bix not to come. Which I thought was very interesting. So when Cassian leaves, Lutheran goes to Bix, and he wants her to go do something, but he notices that there's clearly an issue with her, and so he decides against it after all. So he's deciding to just stay away from it completely and not even try to get her involved. So while that's going on, we also have our friend Saw Gerrera, who is back. Apparently, he's working with Lutheran as well, where he had the engineer, which is Bix's friend from when they were from the first 3 episodes. He gets sent over there to show them how to create this, I'm assuming, a bomb. However, I don't know for a fact that it is. Anyway, so we take that out of the equation. Like I said, I'm assuming it's a bomb. He shows this guy how to do it. Saw really wants this his guy to learn it and everything else. So while this is going on, they just they're talking about whether they're going to kill this guy after the fact, and it's still unclear of exactly what they're going to do. So anyway, at the end, Saw's engineer is like, I really need to know where we're going, so we have a easier time of figuring this out. Because if I have too many variables I have to think about, I'm going to be too concerned about being able to do the job correctly. So he decides to tell him what needs to be done, and where, and then the next day he kills him. And the reason for it is because he believed he was an Imperial spy all along. So during that, after he shoots him, he goes through his pockets, finds the Imperial device on him, and tells everyone that he had his suspicions, and now he knows, excuse me, for sure that he was an Imperial spy to begin with. So we had all that going on. So then he has that same engineer help him build the bomb. And he's like, he's trying to tell Saul that he shouldn't be, breathing that stuff in by himself, without an oxygen mask like he has. And he tells him to take it off to finally live the rebellion. Um, and Saw basically exclaims, which is probably the most valid response, in my opinion, to anybody dealing in a rebellion, I would imagine, is the fact that he goes, you can't be sane if you're in a rebellion. You have to be crazy because you have to do things that you would nobody would ever normally do. Which I thought is like at first I thought it was just one of those crazy things that he would just say, but it does make sense. You have to do things that you have to justify doing to be able to be happy with the results at the end. And that's clearly not an easy thing to deal with. And granted, he rides that line rather well. So then we also have Mothma, who is literally campaigning to try to get everyone on her side to defend um, the planet that Cassian is told to go to. They're having issues. We should join forces. We should allow them all to kind of work together. and she is getting nowhere with anybody. Everyone does not want to be dealing with her whatsoever. They're all voting against her. Um, we also get to see um, a new actor play um, Senator Organa, which I thought was kind of odd. But I do get it. It is, he is getting older. It's hard to have him be the I don't want to say this. It's hard it's hard for him to still play the part and make it believable just because of unfortunately his age. But that being said, I mean the guy didn't have a long screen time, but it did work in my opinion. It was just a quick cameo. But nobody's willing to help her, which I thought was very interesting in general for the fact of like nobody seems to really care. Which is kind of sad to be perfectly honest with you. But that being said, we have all that going on. She's not getting anywhere with anybody, to the point where it's just she's feeling defeated, and she's having to play political advocate too, or the political game, where she's having to go to all these like parties and stuff. She really doesn't want to, but she has to. So that's kind of her story. We'll get to her second half towards the end. So then we have the Empire. So the first part of the Empire, we find we assume Cyril and Deidre are no longer together because he's on a remote planet, specifically the one where Cassian is going to. So he's there. He's in charge of a specific area. Granted, he's doing dealing with the files and everything else, so he's doing a lot of clerical work, but making sure things are going smoothly. So the idea is we find out later that Deidre has him doing it for the Empire. He thinks it's for one thing, and in actuality, it's for something else. Now, we don't know the full details of exactly what's happening. We're assuming, I'll say it this way, that the Empire wants the rebellion to gain some momentum so they feel stronger, so they can build themselves up, so then the Empire can knock them down completely. So that way they don't have any resistance once they take over the planet and destroy it, to basically drain it of all its resources. So we see him dealing with the rebellion there, or the what could be the rebellion, because technically it's not a rebellion yet. So they have him kind of feeding them information, which has been accurate. So then Cassian's there, and he's pretending to be a fashion designer, um, who then gets called into the group, and he's basically like, this group stinks. They have no idea what they're doing. They have no concept of what needs to be done, and he thinks it's a waste of time. So he leaves there, basically telling them that their plan is awful. So he goes back to talk to Lutheran and explains to him, hey, like this is the worst idea ever. And Lutheran's like, clearly you're not a leader like I thought, because you would have thought in a very different light had you thought like a leader. And Cassian's like, whatever. And then Cassian comes back to Luther after he finds out from Bix that Luther had spoken to Bix after he left. And then Luther was pissed off again because he's like, man, I'm getting sick and tired of this. You're disappointing me multiple times. And at this point, I don't even know whether or not you're worth the time. And Cassian was just pissed off and was like, I'm out of here. So we then have, what else? Oh, so we then have, we find out from Caleb, Kate, uh, sorry, Clayla, I think is how you say her name, Lutheran's assistant. She finds out that one of the devices on his sorry, they find out that one of Lutheran's items is fake. Oh, actually, no, that's not true. Oh, no, no, that is true. That is true. Sorry. I hesitated for a moment because it's like, no, it is true. So this guy is now going to go through all of his collection to try to see if any of the others are fake. The problem with that is, although is the least concerned about them finding out if it's fake or not, it's more the fact that he has a listening device, a microphone on one of the devices, and they're going to have to figure out how they're going to be able to get that off. So they decide to go there during a party while they're celebrating and everything else, and they're going to go in there and remove the device that's in there. So Lutheran is with Mothra and oh gosh, what is his name in the show? Um, course, I can't see it right away. He's the main guy he was the main villain of Rogue One, and I now can't think of his name, and it's going to bother the hell out of me, and I am pissed off at myself because I can't even think of it. But anyway, just irritated now because I can't think of it. But that being said, so he's there along with many of the rebellions, many of the Imperial officers. So Luthen's with them and Mothra and that lieutenant I think I can't remember his name now. It's gonna bother the hell out of me. But anyway, they're dealing with all that, and while that's going on, his assistant is with a spy that Lutheran has in the Empire, and has him looking at a piece that is the one that has the device on it while she tries to remove it. Now, she removes the device barely in time, and her and Lutheran leave. But the big piece here was Mon Mothra and the head guy were arguing so much back and forth that it was able to distract everyone else from what was going on, which I have to say was incredible in that sense. Well done too, and also to the fact of like seeing the senator like really not being afraid to speak her mind um, in front of a high-ranking imperial officer. So anyway, they talk about how excited they are that they actually removed that and everything else, and then they leave. So the last part of of these three episodes was Vel and um, Cinta are sent to the planet that Cassian said was not worthy. So they go there to start the rebellion. So they explain what needs to be done, and Vel made it very clear, like, hey, this is how you need to do things. You need to follow orders. If you can't follow orders, then you're just going to get the hell out of here and not waste anybody's time. So one of the other things that she mentions too is only her and Cinta are going to have blasters because she doesn't trust any of the others to actually be able to do what they need to do. So they finally come up with a plan. They decide they're going to do it. They're successful in the sense of they're able to take it. However, one of the men has a blaster on them. It gets taken by a local and goes off and shoots Cinta and kills her. Now they all get back. They get all the supplies that they were supposed to get and everything, and they get out of there. Um, Vel is very pissed off with the guy who caused the issue because he brought the gun because he was crying, and she goes, "You don't get to cry over her. You screwed up. You did this. You need to live with it. This is what you wanted for a rebellion. Then guess what? This is what you get. This is why I told you not to bring a gun, bring a blaster. And this is what happens when you do, because you're not skilled enough to be able to handle this." And the episode ends with Cinta dying, but they're successful in the rebellion. We have the Empire, specifically Deidre, looking over the what's going on with the rebellion on that planet. We have Lutheran trying to keep the rebellion together at all. And then we also have Cassian and Bix who go to an Imperial officer's um, office, I guess you would say. And it was the one that really did a lot of damage to Bix. And she kills him. Oh no, she does not kill him. She straps him to the chair and everything else, and then puts the device on that she had on her, and then they blow the place up, and he dies, we're assuming. And it ends that way. So I was very concerned about how the show was going to go from year to year to year. I have to say they've done a great job where at least initially you're going to question things, but they will eventually tell you everything once you go through at least the first episode. You know what's been going on with pretty much everyone that you've been dealing with so far. So I have to say that's incredible writing skills on the writers there. They've done a great job with that. The show has been excellent. I'm very much looking forward to year four and seeing what's going to happen there. I mean, we're going to have Cassian and Bix being together more. We also know that a lot of these people aren't in Rogue One, so I'm very curious to see how many of them are going to die in the next 2 years. So I cannot wait to see what happens there. But overall, these episodes were incredible. But let me know what you guys thought about them in the comments down below. Did you like them? Did you not? And why? And as always, if you like the content you see, please make sure to like and subscribe down below. Other than that, this is going to be Beastly Eel signing out. Have a wonderful night. Bye bye.